Okay, so every generation thinks their beauty standards are totally normal. Like, no, this is just what's attractive right now. But then you look back through history and you're like, wait. People were poisoning their skin, crushing their waists, binding their bodies, and changing their natural features just to fit whatever society decided was beautiful at the time. And suddenly, beauty standards don't look so innocent anymore. They start looking like control. Beauty standards are usually sold to us as personal choice. A smaller waist, lighter skin, a younger face, smoother features. And sure, people can like what they like, but history makes this whole thing a lot messier because beauty was not always just about looking good. A lot of the time, it was about proving something. Proving you were wealthy, proving you were feminine enough, proving you were disciplined, proving you belonged. And the more extreme the beauty standard became, the more extreme the sacrifice became. Sometimes the sacrifice was money, sometimes it was time, sometimes it was health, and sometimes it was the body itself. Which brings us to one of the darkest examples, Chinese foot binding. So let's talk about foot binding. The practice itself was brutal. For centuries in China, tiny bound feet were seen as feminine, refined, and desirable. And the shoes made for these feet were called lotus shoes. Now here's the part that gets me. The pain was not treated like a warning sign. It was treated like proof. Proof that a girl was delicate, proof that she came from a certain class, proof that she could be desirable for marriage. So the body was literally restricted, and then society looked at that restriction and called it elegance, which is horrifying because once pain becomes part of the beauty standard, people stop asking, why does this hurt? And start asking, am I doing enough? And then in Europe and America, we get another version of this same story, the corset. Now, corsets are complicated. Not every corset was torture, and not everyone wore them in the most extreme way. But the idea behind them is what matters here. The fashionable body was being built. The waist was shaped, the posture was controlled, the silhouette was engineered. And I know fashion can be beautiful. I love fashion history. But also, let's be honest. When clothing starts teaching people that their natural body is the before picture, that is where it gets weird. Your natural body isn't considered enough on its own. It needs to be shaped or adjusted to match what was fashionable at the time. Now let's get into the makeup, because this is where beauty history starts feeling like a crime scene. In early modern Europe, pale skin was associated with wealth and status. Basically, if you were pale, it suggested you were not working outside in the sun. So pale skin became this visual shortcut for privilege, and people chased that look hard. One famous visual example is Queen Elizabeth I, especially portraits where her face is painted extremely pale. And here's where it gets dark. Some whitening cosmetics use dangerous ingredients, including lead-based compounds, lead, on the face, to look wealthy. And the worst part is, this created a loop that still feels familiar today. A standard gets created, a product gets sold, the product causes damage, then another product gets sold to hide the damage. Like, hello, that is not beauty, that is a business model with better packaging. That is history. That is colonialism. That is class. That is racism showing up in beauty language. And this is why skin lightening products are not just skin care. Because when a product is selling you the idea that your natural skin tone is something to fix, it's not just selling cream. It is selling escape. Escape from discrimination, escape from being judged, escape from being treated as less. And that is what makes it so cruel. The beauty industry did not create colorism by itself, but it absolutely learned how to profit from it. And now we're here, the algorithm era. And honestly, the algorithm did not invent beauty standards. It just made them faster, louder, and impossible to escape. Before, you might compare yourself to a painting, a movie star, or a magazine cover. A filter can tweak your nose, smooth your skin, sharpen your jaw, brighten your eyes, all in a second. And the weird part is, after a while, that edited version starts to feel normal. Like that's just how you're supposed to look. And then your actual face, it starts to feel off somehow. Like it's the one that needs fixing. So yeah, this awful dark history of beauty standards is not just that people suffered to be beautiful. It is that society kept calling the suffering normal, elegant, disciplined, feminine, healthy, desirable. And that is the part we need to question. Because maybe the real question is not, am I beautiful enough? Maybe the real question is, who benefits when I believe my body is a problem?